Chapter 20. The light faded, and darkness came as I crouched in the gully. The bluecoats bandaged the wounds of our warriors and let the people bury our dead. They passed out food and blankets. Smoke rose from cooking fires. The smell of food filled my mouth with water. I had not eaten for 3 days. Hungry and cold and sad, I huddled against the dirt wall and shut my eyes. While my father spoke to the generals, Whitebird and a large band of our people had slipped away from the camp and started north. Now they were a long march away. I must start alone for the old lady's country, I told myself, but I would wait until the camp was asleep. As the night wore on, voices died away. Soon, all was quiet. A horse snickered. A man coughed. A baby cried. Nothing more. Still, I waited. I waited until the stars moved the space of my 2 hands across the heavens. Then I wrapped a pan, a knife, and a buffalo horn for water in my wedding blanket. I crawled to the end of the gully that was farthest from the camp. As I crept over the dirt, my hand touched something hard and cold. I ran my fingers over the object. It was a rifle. I stuck the barrel through the knot on my bundle and pulled myself out of the gully. The glow of watchfires outlined the edge of the camp. I crawled to the creek, squeezed through the brush, and let myself over the side. Silent as a snake in a stream, I slid down the bank to the water. Before I could get up, a strong hand clamped over my mouth. Another hand grabbed my arm. "Quiet," whispered a rough voice. Fear struck through me. I did not move. The hands relaxed their grip. "Are you not going home with Chief Joseph?" asked the voice, gentler now. I peered through the darkness. It was Swan Necklace. He had not surrendered with the warriors. A burst of joy rose in me. "I am going to Sitting Bull," I said. "I will never go with the white man." "Let us start," said Swan Necklace. "Better we die together than trust ourselves to those who speak with 2 tongues. We followed the creek until it turned back toward the camp. Then we climbed out of the gully and began to walk toward the star that never moves. Snow covered the ground. Swan Necklace was still stripped for battle. He had no moccasins. I untied my bundle and cut strips of buffalo hide from the robe. Swan Necklace wrapped his feet in the soft fur and pulled our wedding blanket around his shoulders. He carried our guns, and I carried the rest. We walked until light streaked the sky. My moccasins were worn, and my feet ached with cold. Swan Necklace said nothing, but his legs were bare. Swan Necklace found us a protected place out of the wind. While he dug a hollow on the side of the hill, I looked for buffalo chips. They were covered with snow and hard to spot, but I found enough for a small fire. We rubbed each other's feet to warm them, then huddled beneath the blanket. Heat from the fire spread through us, and we slept until the sun was high. I woke to the touch of Swan Necklace's fingers. He brushed my cheek until my eyes opened. "Wake, my love," he said softly. "We must be on our way." It was our first good sleep since our people came through the bear paws. I scrubbed my face with snow to waken me. We had no food. I cut the elk-hide fringe from my skirt, and we chewed the strips as we walked. It fooled our stomachs for a time. The going was hard. Cold wind blew down from the old lady's country. We had to push hard against it. Its icy fingers poked under our robes and made us shiver. It was almost dusk when Swan Necklace spotted an antelope searching for grass in the snow. He aimed carefully. The shot echoed through the quiet air, and the antelope fell dead. We ran to where it lay, its blood making a scarlet pool on the snow. Swan Necklace knelt and began to skin the antelope. I pulled out my knife to help him. Suddenly, a hunting party rode over the hill. They galloped toward us. The snow muffled the sound of the horses' hoofs, but the jingle of their bridles sounded loud in my ears. I knew by their rawhide saddles that they were Assiniboines. My heart beat like a woodpecker pounding on a lodgepole. The Assiniboines were a fierce tribe and made many wars. They had never been our friends. Were they helping the Bluecoats as the Cheyennes and the Crows and the Flatheads had done? The horses stopped beside us. There were 5 riders, and 5 extra horses. They had been on a long hunt, and 2 of the horses carried meat and hides. Their leader raised his arm in greeting. He had been on this earth as many snows as my father. Strips of ermine showed white in his braids. His beaded moccasins were made of soft elk skin. Beneath his saddle was a fine blanket of red wool and otter skins. It was a chief's blanket. Across his saddle lay an old musket, the kind most of our warriors used before we picked up rifles on the battlefield. The other 4 men had no guns. They carried bows made from the horns of mountain sheep. They must have traded with our people for them, because only the Namipu made such bows. The leader made signs to say that all the tribes were brothers. He touched his chest and said his name was Red Elk. We signed back that we were friends and said our names. We signed that we were fleeing from the Bluecoats and on the way to join Sitting Bull. Red Elk nodded. He spoke a few words of our language. With signs and words, he told us that the hunting party was on its way to a nearby Assiniboine village. We were welcome to join them. His words were good, but I did not trust him. When Red Elk saw our fine rifles that had once belonged to white soldiers, his eyes gleamed. His eyes followed them as we put them across our saddles. His eyes stayed on them all the way to the Assiniboine village.